This is 5 on your side at 6. Focused on you.
First at 6, we have a closer look at the moments a peaceful day of protests turned violent. Just over 2 hours ago, we received new video from the moment a Ferguson police officer suffered a severe head injury. Officer Travis Brown remains in a coma right now. He was hurt when demonstrations marking 10 years since Michael Brown's death turned violent on Friday night. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. Today, Officer Brown's body cam video was released, and we want to warn you, this video is disturbing to watch. Officer Brown attempting to arrest a protester. That protester identified as Elijah Gant for property damage. You can see from this video, officers were calmly moving towards protesters after they broke off a part of the police station's fence. That's when police say Gant forcibly shoved Brown, causing him to fall and hit his head. Gant is now in custody and facing multiple charges. The family of Officer Travis Brown shared a statement today. It reads in part, quote, "Travis is more than a police officer. He is a devoted father, son, brother, uncle, godfather, and friend. A man of strong faith. His heart is as big as his smile, and his positive energy is truly contagious." They also thank the community and leaders for their continued support. Officer Brown remains in a coma.
Several other protesters are facing charges after Friday's violence, and one of those is Keith Rose, who is on the St. Louis Civilian Oversight Board and an alternate delegate for the Democratic National Convention. Justina Cornell joins us in studio after speaking with his attorney today.
Following his arrest, Rose has recused himself from the Civilian Oversight Board and has stepped aside as an uncommitted alternate delegate for the DNC next week. Now, some St. Louis Board of Aldermen have weighed in on what should happen next.
Keith comes at it as an activist on police issues, and his point of view and his experiences were well known to the board when they decided to appoint him.
John Chasnoff is following the case of Keith Rose closely, especially after helping form the St. Louis Civilian Oversight Board almost a decade ago. The board investigates citizen complaints about police misconduct.
When we first created the board, we wanted it to have a diversity of perspectives.
Chasnoff believes Rose brings a unique perspective, and that's why St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones appointed him.
He's been involved in issues around policing for quite some time.
Well, the board approved Rose earlier this year. Now some are split. This is after Rose was arrested Friday night outside the Ferguson Police Department, charged with a felony for damaging a fence. Rose's attorney, Javad Khazali, defends his client.
The video doesn't support anything they say. The best they can say is at some point during the evening before the fence broke, he shook the fence.
As the criminal case continues, Rose recused himself from the Civilian Oversight Board. St. Louis University law professor Anders Walker weighs in.
Civilian oversight boards need to appear to be neutral and objective. This might give the board a bad name.
The only way to vote him out is through the Board of Aldermen. 3 members of the Board of Aldermen have asked Rose to resign, while another trio said Rose deserves due process, and they should wait to vote until court proceedings conclude.
A different person injured the officer, and that's awful. Keith has come out and he's condemned that. There's no place for that type of violence, but it wasn't him or even related to him.
Rose has posted bond and has a court hearing next Thursday. Now, he is one of many who filed a lawsuit against St. Louis police before, following protests after the acquittal of Officer Jason Stockley. Last year, a settlement was reached.
We are just 5 days away from classes starting, and parents are still concerned about St. Louis Public Schools' transportation plan. Only 6,400 students will be able to take a bus to school. 6,200 students will be transported by vans and sedans. Then there's 1,400 other students who have to use public transit.
Our Megan Kernan is learning more about what it will look like for the students who have to take the Metro next week, and she joins us live outside a bus depot in the Central West End. Megan.
Mike, we've heard from many concerned SLPS parents about their high school students riding the Metro bus to school every day. But tonight, Metro released a plan to help those students get to school on time and safely.
More than 1,400 St. Louis high school students will be taking a Metro bus to school in just 5 days. Metro Transit COO Charles Stewart says some students and parents may have never taken a Metro bus for transportation.
A lot of parents are concerned about the routes that their students will be taking how long it's going to take to get there, those kind of things.
That's why the agency is giving parents a free day pass for 1 day this week to help their teens get prepared.
We're encouraging parents to figure out, where their kids are going to catch the bus, learn the routes, so we have an opportunity for them to ride along with their high school student before Monday if they like.
Stewart says very few students will be riding the MetroLink. The majority will be taking Metro buses.
We also have to serve our normal customers. We don't want to inconvenience them. They will all be commingled on the system.
A huge concern for SLPS parents has been safety. Stewart says they have security that patrols their routes on a normal basis and will be doing that for the students.
For the St. Louis Public Schools, we have asked their security to be available on areas where there will be larger concentrations of students, especially after school.
Now, the school district's director of safety and security says they've vetted every bus stop and found a few that were concerning. So their security team will now handle those bus stops. Parents who want to get a day pass can contact Metro Transit customer service by calling 314-982-1406. Live in St. Louis, Megan Kernan, 5 on your side.
Right now, Jewish leaders are expressing their dismay over social media posts made by St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green. The Anti-Defamation League says Green crossed a line when she promoted a conspiracy theory using anti-Semitic tropes of Jewish power and control of the media. Political editor Mark Maxwell joins us from the newsroom after speaking with those leaders. Mark?
Yeah, Mike, all of this is bubbling up in the context of that bitterly contested primary election between Wesley Bell and Cori Bush. Bush's camp fiercely criticized Israel's military campaign in Gaza and the floods of campaign money pouring into this district to oppose her. But those comments were often interwoven with or interrupted by hateful rhetoric with a harmful past.
Inside the Kaplan-Feldman Holocaust Museum, stories of survivors echo the warning signs of history. Before the rise of the Nazi Party, signs of growing hatred often spread undetected.
To everybody in our gallery, this maybe is a peculiar, teachable moment.
The museum's director of education, Helen Turner, explained to guests why a TV camera was briefly interrupting their tour. She was responding to a current anti-Semitic incident which she said made the propaganda gallery more relevant now than ever before.
This idea that Jewish people are insects or vermin, a parasite, or even a disease is a really, really old one, and it's a very dangerous trope about anti-Semitism and about Jews.
That same old rhetoric had recently re-emerged online. St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green shared it to her 12,000 followers in a social media post she has since deleted. The museum exhibit teaches people how to spot hateful propaganda in your social media feed and how to prevent currents of hate from seeping into mainstream.
Nazis did begin as an extremist political movement, but because over time I think their extremism was more accepted, they were able to get into democratic politics and into democracy.
At any end of the political spectrum, you will absolutely find anti-Semitism, especially as you approach the extremes.
Jordan Kadosh is with the Anti-Defamation League.
I think we're all concerned about violence and war. A person can have concerns about any number of things without crossing a line.
He's seen troubling signs of anti-Semitic rhetoric rising, often drowning in the din of bitter political battles over Israel's war in Gaza.
This idea that people we already have relationships with have now gone a full 180 on us is how it feels to us.
That's how he says it felt when Green shared her unfounded theory that perhaps a wealthy Jewish man secretly moved to purchase the Riverfront Times to silence its coverage of pro-Palestinian protests.
If you see a bunch of dots, and no matter how you connect them, you always come up with a Star of David, that maybe there's a problem with how you perceive things.
A spokesman for Megan Green says she has been reflecting on her social media post and acknowledges now its harm and impact. She plans to meet with one of the rabbis who wrote a letter to her in the days to come for what she's calling a productive conversation.
A closer look at the arrest of a popular rapper. The video obtained by 5 on Your Side from the night Nelly was put in a police car.
There's a couple of isolated showers to the northwest of St. Louis. Most of that's going to miss the metro area, but tomorrow our chances for thunderstorms are there. 3 different opportunities tomorrow, and some of them could be strong, especially later in the day. We're tracking with that weather impact alert in just a bit.